and welcome to a video tutorial working our way through algebra and getting into some arithmetic sequences. In this video, we're going to learn how to find missing terms. So being able to recognize the common difference and be able to use that to find missing terms in our pattern where we're adding the same thing over and over and over again. Okay, so here we go. We got 1/8 in this first sequence. I'm starting with 1/8 and then I'm getting 1/2. I'm missing a term. I don't know what it is. But the term after it is 1 1/4. And the only thing I know is it's an arithmetic sequence, so I'm adding the same thing repeatedly to get from one term to the next. All right, so let's talk about how to do this here. So on this one, I don't know anything, but I do know the first term, A1, and the second term, A2, and all I need is two terms to be able to find out what the common difference is. So if I take these, let's subtract 1/2 minus 1/8. To do that, I need common denominators, so I'm going to change 1/2 into 4/8 minus 1/8, and there we get 3/8. So the difference, I'm getting bigger from 1/8 to 1/2, and I just took the difference between those and found that it was 3/8. What that means is my pattern in this arithmetic sequence is to add 3/8. So if I go from 1/8 plus 3/8, that gets me to 1/2. If I take 1/2 and add 3/8, that should get me to my missing sequence. And as a check, what we'll do is we'll take our missing sequence that we found and then we'll add 3/8 and see if it truly does get us to 1 1/4. Okay, so let's find our missing sequence. Let's take 1/2. The pattern is to add 3/8, so we're going to add 3/8 to it. The same thing, I got to change common denominators, so we're going to change 1/2 to 4/8. 4/8 plus 3/8 equals 7/8. So that, the question mark there, that term, the third term, should be 7/8. All right, as a way to check, 7/8 plus 3/8 should be 1 1/4. So let's check that out here. 7/8 plus 3/8 equals, they already have common denominators, which is good. So that equals 10/8. 8 goes into 10 one time, which leaves 2 left over. So 2/8, but 1 and 2/8 reduces down to 1 1/4. So it checks out. That I add 3/8 again and it gets me to the next term. So my missing term in this sequence is 7/8. We used it by taking two consecutive terms, the first two, and finding the common difference. So hopefully this is a good example there. The next one we got here, it's a little bit trickier one, right? I got two missing spaces. I'm starting with -8, adding something to get here, adding something to get here, and now all of a sudden I'm getting to -23. So this may seem harder, right? But we can still use the idea that I'm starting with -8. I'm adding something to get this term. I don't know what it is. I'm adding the same thing to get here. I don't know what it is. And I'm adding it one more time to get to -23. So I'm adding the same thing 3 times. Well, what is the difference between -8 and -23? What am I actually changing between those three there? Well, from -8 to -23, if I subtract those, -23 minus -8, gotta be careful with all my negatives, I end up with -15. Well, it looks like total then I lost -15, but I lost it in 3 stages, right? So I can conclude then I needed to take -15, divide it by 3 because I subtracted the same amount 3 times, and we get -5. Well, this makes sense, right? Does -5 minus -5, take another -5, subtract 5 3 times, the net effect of all that is to subtract 15. So we can find any missing term just by thinking about, well, how many times am I subtracting that or adding that, and think of it as a multiplication problem. So we divided by 3 because there were 3 places where I needed to subtract the same number. So let's fill it in then. So -8 minus 5 should be -13. -13 minus 5 would be -18. And -18 minus 5 would be -23. So it checks out. I'm feeling good. Just for filling out some details here on this sequence, the first term would be -8, and we found the common difference was -5. Over here, the first term was 1/8, and we found the common difference was +3/8. All right, hopefully that's a helpful tutorial in understanding how arithmetic sequences work and being able to find missing terms. Have something of a pattern, but can we fill in our unknowns?